My name RAH, aka Rock On, you know what I'm saying? Man behind this Breakin bad shit. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, Nightwall, New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? Grew up from France Street to Congress and Galvez, you know what I'm saying? Really the whole lower nine from Poland all the way to Louisa, really, you know what I'm saying? My family, both sides, dad and mama, come from out the Ninth Ward of New Orleans. You know, that's my grassroots. My grandfather, he touched a little bit of legacy himself, you know what I'm saying? He had a hit in the 60s called Barefootin', and the name is Robert Parker, you know what I'm saying? So you can look that up, and I guess you would say that come from him, that come from, you know, his genes. My dad and them, they do music, and you know, it just trickled down. So I've been doing music all my life. I just hear stuff. I hear melodies, and it just come to me all the time. That's how I write records, you know what I'm saying? The melodies come to me first, and then I place words inside of the melodies, you know what I'm saying? Off of ideas or what I want to talk about, you know, whatever I'm aiming with the audience, I'm shooting at, you know what I'm saying? So, but to answer that question, it came from my grandfather, man, so it's deeply rooted. Basically, it started with R&B. So R&B came from listening to my dad and them rehearse. There was a group, the Parker Brothers, you know what I'm saying? So they used to rehearse, and they was more of a talent show type of group, so they sung other people's songs. And I got into it like that, and they always played songs inside the home, and from my mama to my dad played R&B, and that's how I got into that. But then it trickled into hip-hop, being a young, you know, adolescent, coming up in a poverty-stricken area. Hip-hop was political, it was raw, it was gangster, it was unapologetic, and it just was a resemblance of what I was inside of as a kid, you know what I'm saying? So I related more to the hip-hop side, but that's where the melody played its part, coming from the R&B, you know. I had to be about 16, and I would put on the Isley Brothers. Doom, 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 round, round, round. So I would let the instrumental, I had the instrumental, I can't remember where I got the instrumental from, but I used to let it play, and I had a recorder, and and it was me and my brother, from another though, I just called him my brother, but we'll sit in a room, and I'll put the recorder in between both of us, and then we'll just go back and forth rhyming. It kind of like, back then it sounded more like a duo of UGK. It sounded more like a Bun B Pimp C type of thing, the way the flow was and everything. But I was rhyming to that all the time. Even when he wasn't there, I'd just be by myself, and I'd turn that one instrumental just, I could not stop rhyming to that. That was that instrumental, and I don't know if you know I think they call it the Quiet Storm or something. They go, ooh, 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 ooh,
oh,
ooh,
the Art of Noise. Yeah.
I used to rhyme to it endlessly. My partner, his stepdad had a computer, and they had the instrumental on the computer, and he had a little mic too, you know, the little mic that used to come with the computers and stuff, and he had the mic on it with the recorder, and I just freestyle to it, you know what I'm saying? Freestyle to it, like I'm talking about, I go about 2-3 hours. I could sit, if everybody was in the house and they was chilling and drinking and smoking and cooling and fooling with chicks, I could sit in front of the computer and freestyle to that instrumental for like hours. Wouldn't stop, you know, non-stop. So, you know, at that point, it was already a rhythm going on of interest. So I would say, well, rhythm of interest, you know what I'm saying? So then when I start to actually do songs, is when I met a guy, and it was out here. I was going to TSU, and me and him started like a group, and we started rapping on other people's beats, try to do mixtapes and stuff, and that's when I started writing rhymes. So I started rhyming to other people's beats, and that's where it really started, from the rhyme writing, and that had to be like early 20s, you know. Man, we was feeding the streets with mixtapes, man, getting hot, and that's how my first situation into breaking into the business of music started, honestly, off that one. So it's damn near, if you kind of recollect back, wasn't much development for me. It almost was like it already was instilled inside of me, and it automatically made the transition without me having to do it endless times to learn how to rhyme and pattern writing. And like still to this day, man, I operate off of feeling. In the bars, I be rhyming and I stop when it feel right. You know what I'm saying? Not even counting bars at all. And it's always on point because it's a feeling to me. You know? I feel when something's supposed to start and end inside of a record. Feel how the hook's supposed to come in and come out of the record. You know what I'm saying?
So it's just innate. You know? It's something that
it lives, man.
You can't even describe.
I can't even. After it's done, I listen to it and I'm like, man, that shit that dope, man. But I can't even tell you where it came from, because it's coming from inside, you know.
Yeah, it's just it's something you can't explain. It's written in your DNA.
Yeah, it's instilled, man.
Yeah, it's instinct
deep,
at this
deeply
point.
Rooted, man. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So let's talk about your album.
Mm-hmm.
You have an album called Breaking Bad that you put together.
Right.
What was the thought process behind that album?
The album came about. I was doing some writing, and I was writing for this artist. We was in the studio, locked in the studio, doing a lot of writing for him, an actual R&B artist. But I was giving him some type of edge, so we was writing, and I guess, you know, business wasn't being handled properly, which was kind of like an uncomfortable situation. So, you know, it was already like, what do I want to do, you know? I'm at the house and I'm watching this Netflix show, you know, it's called Breaking Bad. It's known for this chemist teacher that hit a certain point in life when he had to make a decision and compromise who he was to stay alive, money-wise. So he started, you know, he met a student. He started cooking up meth, and they went to taking over the city. And so I'm looking at the show and I'm like, damn. So my first thought, I'm already glued to the show at this point. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, damn, this shit crazy. This shit hard. And I'm just looking at the scenes and I'm listening to the scoring and the music. So, cause I'm a music lover. So I'm like, let me see what this soundtrack is about. So, in the midst of me watching the show, you know, when I wasn't watching the show, I'd go look up stuff about the show, like, you know, looking up the soundtrack and see what songs on the soundtrack. So as I'm going through the soundtrack, I'm finding myself just skipping shit, like, this shit is not even dope. But this show's so hard. This show's so hard, man. This show need a soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, you know what? I'm gonna get with my boy and see if he won't, you know, join me on making a soundtrack for this shit, whether it's just for our ears or not. You know what I'm saying? Let's just fool with it. So I went to my boy Phil and I'm like, man, we fucking with this nigga here, man. This nigga ain't got nothing pop, man. This nigga don't know what he doing. This nigga ain't finna make nothing pop. And instead of fucking with other people's situations and being entities and what they doing, and these niggas ain't popping shit off, gonna make a nigga break bad. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I said, man, it's this show. He hadn't even seen it. I said, it's a show called Breaking Bad. I want to create the soundtrack to it. So, you know, he trusts me enough to say, you know, shit, oh man, how you gonna do that? I said, well, shit, man, I won't get with you. And we start, you know. He's like, oh, okay, well, shit, we can book a session and start on it, you know what I'm saying, if you want to. I said, all right, cool. And I got with him, and the first record is the last record on the project. It's called Dope. And we created that record off of the influence of the soundtrack for that show being whack as fuck. You know.
So let's go through the track list, man. You know, while we're talking about dope, this entire album is dope. I really can't stop listening to it. And it's been a minute since I've picked up an album, especially by an unknown artist.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And I can't stop listening to it. I literally put all the other stuff that I was listening to aside so I could listen to this album.
Right.
And so you got the intro. The intro on here has speeches, Martin Luther King, and then you have Marvin Gaye singing in the background. What was the influence for that?
Again, like I was saying, the soundtrack, music, melodies, speeches, and political influences. That's what the show gave me. It gave me what hip hop was to me, and it was unapologetic. It was raw. It was political. You know what I'm saying? That's what the show was giving me as a soundtrack, because it was hard. So I'm like, because I dug deeper into the concept of Breaking Bad. It wasn't about cooking dope. It was about this man being in a position where he had to change in order to survive, but compromise his beliefs and what he stood for. You know what I'm saying? As being a family man, a career-having guy, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't working no more because the American way was gonna kill me. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that's what that showed me, and that's why you get the politics inside of the album. Shotgun Riding is one of my favorites. That song is a favorite because what it does is it depicts being in the passenger seat in life, not able to help myself, already set up to crash. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that song was about. So that's one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites is Getaway. Getaway is a favorite of mine because in so many ways, again, it talks about my hurt. You get what I'm saying? It displays the rawness inside of me. You know what I'm saying? And the message of what it's saying is, about getting away. Sometimes you could get it twisted and about, is he talking about smoking? And then I don't even smoke no more. So I like what it displays about me also, because what it is showing niggas, hey, those things and the actions are people that you say are in the streets. But actually, that's where I come from, and that ain't my actions. You know what I'm saying? Ain't how I operate. You dig? But in these hard times in life, struggles and trials and tribulations of what we go through, sometimes we need shit that take us away. You know what I'm saying? So that's just another record of one of my favorites. And I guess I'll give you a third one, last but not least. I would have to say, Life Goes On. And Life Goes On. You have to listen to it. It's self-explanatory. And if I'm lying, you tell me something different, man. It's really self-explanatory at that point, because I dig into, mind, literally, M-I-N-E. I dig into mind on that record.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, because actually, Life Goes On is one of my favorite.
Word.
And it really speaks to relationships, and how it's very important to nurture relationships while they're still here.
Right.
It's very important, and it's not only friends, not only cousins and family and all that stuff. It's very important to nurture these relationships.
Right.
We get to crying and carrying on when this person is not here anymore, but then when they were here, you didn't call them, you didn't talk to them, you didn't tell them that you love them, none of that stuff.
Right.
that's why that song spoke to me. That's literally my favorite song on the album.
Gotcha.
That's number one for me.
Appreciate that, man. Give Us What We Need came from an influence out of Kanye West's catalog. He did that Weird album. I forgot what it was called, Yeezus or some shit like that. And he had a sample that's in Give Us What We Need with the choir, with the church choir in it. He used it in a song for a slight, just small time. Like, came in, it was played like a sample, real low in the back, you know what I'm saying? And he basically just played the sample. Like, I'm talking about the drum, the church drum that was in it. He just played the sample. And then he come out of there and went into some rock shit, some weird shit. And I was like, damn, I thought that motherfucker was, that just that one part changed my whole vibe. Like, it put me in a different place, you know what I'm saying? And so I told him, I said, man, I want you to check out this sample. I told Phil, I said, check out this sample and let's see what we could do with it. So he listened to the Kanye West shit and he was like, damn, this fucking song whack as a motherfucker. But then he heard that part of it. Oh yeah, that shit, that dope. You know, and he don't show any emotion. He's like, yeah, that's nice. Let's see what we can do. So he looks up where the actual sample came from. And we found it, and then we chopped it, and so we planned it, you know, to get the idea how we wanted to go along with it. And it was all history from there, man. I couldn't even tell you the next move, really. You know, the beat was created, we had the sample playing, and then we had a guy, you know, by the name of Tony Mack. We recorded, by the way, this whole album in Rob Quest's apartment. You know what I'm saying? So Tony Mack is a good friend of Rob, so they out on the porch drinking a beer, chilling. You know what I'm saying? Tony Mack come in and he hear it. Like, man, this here, man. This before we just got the sample playing as the hook, and I done just went bless the track, three verses. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man. This shit is hard, man. And I ain't know Tony Mack at the time, so, you know, they tell me, man, boy, blow, man. I said, wait, you blow? He's like, yeah, man, I do a little something. I said, well, shit, man. Let me see, I hear some other stuff that need to go in this record. Let's see how we can, you know, magnify it, take it to another element. You know, he did some, what we call flavors for me at first. And with the flavors, I was like, oh, it's more needed. So that's when I wrote something for him to do. And that's when he came in with that, what you hear on the record, man.
The next song, Bad Motherfucker. I was like, this shit was crazy. And that's not even what he played for me. He played other songs. But this, speaking of Rob Quest, this song was the third song on there?
Yep, Rob produced that record, and
let's talk about
all I hear is gun sounds from the battleground. Front line, fighting life with passion, man. You know, it speaks for itself. I'm at the front. Everything's on my back and my shoulders. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you where in the listing of being made that record was made, but it was created off of a beat that Rob Quest had, and he was playing tracks for me. And I picked that track. The track was a little different, but then we had Phil come in with Rob, and he did some doctoring and adjust some things and did some different little points. And then once we created the record, we actually polished it, you know what I'm saying? But inside of that record, that's strictly all in a nutshell. There's everything on my back. I'm at the front line. I'm ready for war. Let's go, you know? Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the time, man. Dope since 77. Wasn't born in the 70s. I'm an 80s baby. But y'all know what it is. Double salute, Breaking Bad. We in here making history.
strike like a bingo.